Pick of the week. Yay.
Hello, and welcome to the Cape and Cowl Comics Pick of the Week show. This is a little show where we like to talk about some of our favorite comics that came out this week, single issue or otherwise, as in bound together, usually between two covers, paperback, hardbound. It doesn't matter. We love comics in any way that they come. My name is Cody, aka The Mutant Menace. I am joined by my fabulous co-host, as usual, Kevin, aka KevBotzilla. How are we tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing great. You had a very ASMR sort of quality to your voice there when you were introing us. I almost dozed off. I loved it.
Why, thank you so much. We're also joined by Eitan Manhoff. How's it going tonight, Eitan?
Very good. Wonderful. I do not know what ASMR means.
All right.
It's one of those it's like an audio quality that lulls the listener into either a trance-like state of paying attention or asleep. People use it to fall asleep and shit.
Huh.
Yeah, like people cutting candles with a blade and recording the audio.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool.
It's a wild world out there, Eitan.
Apparently.
Right. So on that note, we're going to go ahead with our very soothing edition of Picks of the Week. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do this the whole time, but there's a lot of good comics this week. Comics are awesome. They've been awesome. This week is no exception. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, ranging from Marvel to DC to indies and everything we love. We're going to highlight some of our favorites. Kicking it off, one thing that I really enjoyed this week. This is Dead Dog's Bite issue number 2. This is the second issue of the fabulous new series, written and illustrated by Tyler Boss, who we've praised on the show of having impeccable design sense and paneling and just lovely lines. I'm obsessed with this artist. And this issue is very cool. It takes our main character and kind of ups our stakes a little bit. It gives our main character kind of a mission statement. We know how she's going to approach finding out what happened to her disappeared friend. And it continues to be this strange town of where nothing really adds up, and the mayor is behaving kind of like an android. He acts almost like an android would. He doesn't communicate like a normal person. We have all kinds of these great images in this book. These characters are designed very unique. We have some visual motifs with the spiraling symbol that is reflected in the Pendermills peppermint factory. We see that the peppermints have this similar design on it that seems to be a motif throughout this book. And our main character, is trying to get the inside scoop on the inner workings of the town and look through this ledger and hunt down these names and how it connects to her missing friends. So this was a really strong second issue, and I am loving this series.
I agree. I like a good motif, and the spiral symbol, which is the logo for a local peppermint candy company or candy factory. But also really seems like it is tied to things that are far more nefarious. My favorite page in the book this week was the double page spread where she organizes her evidence wall in the shape of that spiral. Just a beautiful page to look at.
Yeah, that was good. There's so many awesome design things, as Cody mentioned. There's a lot of pages that are like 9-panel grid, Dave Gibbons, Watchmen style, but then he makes little choices like to highlight little, like taking the pills out, and then sharing a panel with popping the pills in her mouth and pulling the picture out of her pocket while drinking the water. Like, it's just all these really awesome visual things that lead your eye around the page and like tell a detailed, awesome story.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. And Cody pointed out probably the best part of the issue, which was the mayor. The mayor was so funny.
I like the mayor. I like the mayor's receptionist also.
Yeah, like the mayor could equally have been cast by a giant cardboard cutout with one of those motion sensors that just rattles lines off when you walk by. Or maybe like a giant life-size Woody the cowboy doll. I feel like somebody just keeps pulling a string on him. He's like, I've got a snake in my boot. It's just like super hilarious.
Yeah, Richard, nefarious is a good word for this series. There's something sinister, just an underlying discomfort that kind of pervades the book so far. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, Mike Rowe. Nothing wrong with the traditional 9 grid. You got it, buddy. 9 grids are my fave.
I like that Mike and Ruby, based on the comments, are totally split on this. We have divided a house with this book, right? Doesn't Ruby say that Mike was so down on it, but it's great?
He's coming around.
All right. Well, that's something to watch, everybody. Watch that house explode with furor over Dead Dog's Bite.
Ruby's right.
My first pick this week, if you can believe it, I'm going with a Batman comic book.
Get out of here. Are you serious? No way.
I know. Well, we all have to get out of our comfort zones and we have to try new things. And so for the very first time, I read Batman number 107. It's the first time.
So you read Batman number 107?
107. It was the first time I ever read it. I felt really like I was branching out, and I'm happy for myself. But no, the reason I wanted to point out this issue above other issues, this is actually part 2 of the current story arc that started in 106. That's how numbers work. But this is a Scarecrow story, which is there's Scarecrow. It's got a new design there. He's got a new design by Jorge Jimenez. And this is kind of like the perfect marriage of stories for James Tynion, who I stand by my declaration that he is the hottest writer in comics based on Batman, Department of Truth. What's the other big one? Batman, Department of Truth.
Something is killing the children.
Something is killing the children. Thank you. And so this one, with using Scarecrow, he gets to combine his really on point, excellent horror writing with his really very good Batman. And so what's going on in this story is the Scarecrow is making a move on the city, but he's not using his Scarecrow gas at all, which makes it much harder for Batman to find out what he's doing, what his game is. Usually it's just like, where did you hide the gas? How are you going to distribute the gas? Where is the gas? And that's not happening this time. He's causing like unrest in the city to cause panic and fear of each other, of the police, of Batman. So it's Scarecrow going deeper, and it was very cool. The art by Jimenez is fantastic, and if you're so inclined, if you're a collector type or just like to try new things like me, this book has maybe 5 new characters in it, including one that I think is pretty promising looking, at least. This character here is going to be referred to as the Gardener, and I think it's going to be trouble for both Batman and maybe Poison Ivy. We don't get a lot of her here, but I read in James Tynion's newsletter that she was going to be a player. And then there's a handful of characters at the end who are like different bounty hunters that Ghostmaker, Batman's new sidekick, is going to have to do battle with. Also revealed in this issue, if anybody is interested in this kind of thing, that Ghostmaker, the new sidekick, is bi. We see him coming out of bed with a big hulking tattooed man and a small woman. So lots going on in this issue of Batman, number 107.
I really liked that when you said sidekick, in my end, it sounded kind of like sad kick. I was like, oh yeah, totally a sad kick.
Oh no, sidekick too. I heard the same thing.
No. Batman's had a lot of sad kicks, and Ghostmaker's not sad. He really, really likes what he does, which is fighting bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm really interested, and she just looks so cool. I just want to see more of this character. And did you see those little like plant dogs that were with her? Like I wonder what that's about. Can she like make plants into things? I don't know.
Is her powerful business suit one of her superpowers? Because she is rocking the shit out of that pantsuit.
Obviously. Yeah. Ruby, Dick should not be a sad kick. Dick should also be a happy kick.
Happy kick.
The sad kicks would include Jason Todd, very, very sad. Tim Drake, often quite sad. Damien, mad kick.
Mad kick.
Yeah, he's a mad kick. Batgirl, Batgirl's happy kick, and Cassandra Cain is a sad kick. So there's more, but that's
I love this. I am forever using this terminology. Definitely.
Don't tell Ghostmaker he's a sidekick. I don't know. I mean, he's a partner, I guess. Right. Like Robin's a partner.
Yeah.
I did see kind of a random question from our friend Primus 4000 here. Primus, we do have God of War issue 2 on our website. If you want to snag it, go for it. Otherwise, it might not last. Okay, back to picks. My pick of the week this week. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. What do you say, George? King in Black, issue number 5. The grand finale we've all been waiting for this epic adventure that Donny Cates has been writing about the symbiote god coming to Earth to wipe out all life and turn the universe back into darkness. It's amazing. This issue is super action-packed. Lots of heads getting chopped off. We get some symbiote sword battles. Man, I don't want to spoil it. There's even a cover that's called the spoiler cover that's pretty fucking cool, and it's Venom with this super cool weapon that I'm not going to spoil for you. The only sad part is that we are sold out of King in Black issue number 5 currently due to some damages and some shortages. So we will be getting replacements for those, but also it just seemed like a lot of people kind of came out the woodworks and wanted to check out King in Black 5 and all of the preceding issues as well this week. So if you're interested and we don't have it on the site, reach out to us. We'll keep you in mind, and when we get some replacements or possibly second prints.
Briefly, Kevin, what was King in Black about? Like, what's the elevator pitch for King in Black?
Well, the Null, the symbiote god, who harkens all the way back from the Thor God of Thunder run by Jason Aaron, is a symbiote god that's existed since the creation of the universe, and he's been trapped inside of this bubble of symbiotes. And he's just recently woken up, and he is on his way to Earth to gather his symbiotes and to lay waste to essentially reality. Like, he wants to turn everything into darkness.
Yikes. And Venom is going to stop him. Venom doesn't want that.
Nobody wants that except for Null for the most part. Maybe a couple bad guys that are fucking crazy or stupid or something, but nobody really wants that. So everyone's fighting against Null, which is also why it's been like a full publisher spanning event. Every title that Marvel is putting out right now pretty much has some sort of a King in Black tie-in where they're either fighting a symbiote dragon, like goopy, like symbiote dogs that are running around biting people, symbiote superheroes that have been converted once they were defeated by the symbiotes. It's cool though. There's like, I mean, you know how it is. It's not down until it's over. So Donny Cates wrote a spectacular ending to this adventure that we've been following for the last few months, and I was very pleased. I a little bit about the endings of big events, but this event ending was quite satisfactory and then some.
Was it like Game of Thrones where there's a bunch of people battling to be the King in Black?
It's like kinda, yeah. I mean, essentially Null, who has set up the previous 4 issues as being this like invulnerable evil deity, he has to reckon with Venom and some newfound abilities that he has, which it doesn't go over so well for Null. So you get that like satisfaction of like the bad guy getting his comeuppance, which is awesome. And then a pretty like definitive ending. Like, it didn't leave it all mushy or vague or hazy, or like, I don't feel like we're going to see the next week of Marvel books and be like, King in Black, what was that? I feel like Donny Cates wrote it in a way that hopefully it'll impact most of the titles that are coming out in a positive way. I mean, this hasn't been, dare I say, like Empire, where it just kind of felt like an afterthought. This is definitely an event that seems like the majority of Marvel's resources got put behind it.
Cool. All right. Well, now I know. I didn't know before.
Yeah.
I'm not tied into the Donny Cates universe as tightly.
You'd love it. I mean, there's weird stuff when you do any sort of a universe spanning event like that, where, you know, Captain America's fighting symbiotes on the streets with certain characters, and then you go to some other title like Captain America and he's doing something completely different. That always is going to happen with big events like this, but they did a pretty good job of keeping everything pretty cohesive, and, you know, from title to title there wasn't a lot of dropping of the ball, so to speak.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right. My next pick is going to be an Aftershock book. This is a new #1 this week. This is called Project Patron. This is written by Steve Orlando with art by Patrick, oh Lord Jesus in heaven, Piazzalunga.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
that's a nice name.
But this is a new #1 that really surprised me this week. Steve Orlando is a writer who is hit or miss for me. I have really enjoyed Steve Orlando, and I have not enjoyed Steve Orlando very much. So it's always kind of a surprise of what we're going to get in a new book. But this, I can say, was super intriguing to me. This is basically the death of Superman / life of Superman. And it's basically like, what if this world's Superman died very similar to the way we know Superman have died in DC, and came back? But what if he actually didn't come back? What if there's a special task force that is piloting this superhero? It's kind of like a superhero android, and they are piloting him to keep the legend alive, to basically keep control over the superhero scene by taking over literally the form or the symbol of Superman. This is his name is not Superman, by the way. He's like the patron. But Project Patron is basically in charge of piloting this superhero, and it's interesting because every team member handles a certain aspect of the superhero game. They all have specialties. Some specialize in the tech part, some specialize in the strength, the brawling, some specialize in the tactics. They brought in kind of our ride-along character as a psychologist that they brought in, who specializes in the compassion angle, because these guys are kind of just doing the job, but they need somebody to capture what Superman, like what this world Superman captures in so many people's mind, which is hope and compassion and empathy, and they have him to do that. But he's actually in here to kind of figure out what's really going on in this organization. So it's a really, really strong start that I think is totally worth checking out for fans of superhero books who are looking for something that's going to kind of be outside of what we're used to, kind of that chock-full continuity. Just jump into this and kind of see how superheroes would function in a world where they're not in control of their facilities. It's actually this, you know, government-sanctioned team that are in charge of a superhero's faculties. And can that work? And are their motives all pure? I think we're going to dive into what everyone's getting out of this, which is interesting. You see some character work starting to bud and blossom here. So I'm excited about this book.
I really enjoyed that one also, and I think I feel similarly. I think about Steve Orlando in that I love his ideas, and then sometimes the execution of the ideas don't always work for me, and that was not the case with this one. And it's even one that I kind of had high expectations for, because Death of Superman is what brought me into comics nearly 30 years ago. That's gross. But Death of Superman is what got me in. So this story that sounded like it was an alternate take on the character, I was like, well, it better be good. And though it like had similar beats, like you said, the death is very similar to what happened in the comics. It wasn't just all like, hey, remember this from Death of Superman? You know, like it didn't do that. And I think, and for the best. I was actually a little worried because like it's an old story now, and like people don't remember all the ins and outs of it. But I was really happy with it, really impressed, and will definitely keep reading that one myself.
I just think that cover is so nice. Steve Orlando's Zaddy Superman.
It's something that I love too about this issue, and this, I don't know if this will be a running thing or just to kick off issue 1, but I love when comics do this. It really helps make kind of a world feel real and immersive. It ends with kind of newspaper clippings covering things that happen to the superhero, and
That's
where we're
cool.
going now. And a lot of this article is done, it's completely canon. It's all in universe journalism. But the cool thing about it is you get some of the journalists like editorial on the matter, and you definitely pick up that there's some doubt in the media and in the community about what's going on and who, if this can be trusted. So it really fleshed out this world in a way that made me super interested to see the ramifications of what happens when a symbol for hope and good is being controlled, essentially by a group of people who, are going to have possibly alternate motivations or ulterior motives. So I'm excited. It's a really cool premise, and I'm really stoked to see it explored.
It's also interesting kind of to see, like, it doesn't blow my mind anymore, obviously, because we've had cell phones for a long time. But when people like show you this room of devices and they're like, all of these devices now live in the pocket in your pants. It's kind of like that book makes me think of like, how many people does it take to run a Superman?
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool idea that you'd never really consider when you're just thinking about the ins and outs of Superman. And then Jesse, we do have there are price guides that are current. I don't know if we have anything in stock currently. So for those stock questions and stuff, guys, let's hold those till a little later on, or maybe send an email or holler at us directly. We're happy to help. We just want to make sure we're using the best or making the best use of our time for reviews today.
Okay.
All right, Atron, you're up.
Okay, I have a new Image Comics #1 right here. This is called The Silver Coin, and it is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Michael Walsh. And the concept of this is kind of interesting. It's an anthology where the artist will say the same each issue, and it'll be a different writer each time. So the first one's Chip Zdarsky. I know Kelly Thompson's writing the next one. Ed Brisson is writing one.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Lemire is writing one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Canadians, huh?
It seems like a Canadian mashup, but I looked up Kelly Thompson to find out if she was Canadian, and Wikipedia said she was American. But maybe I meant like North American writer. You can't trust Wikipedia. I looked for like half a second. I was curious if it was a Canadian mashup, and I think it is.
Yeah.
But, so the connecting thread of the stories is a silver coin, a magical coin, and this first story arc is a like small time rock band, just like a plays in bars, local bars, who not really going anywhere. The lead guitar player and singer has high aspirations. The other two in the band are down to just kind of hang out and drink beers and play their music with their friends. That guitar player finds this coin and uses it as a guitar pick for one of their shows, or maybe one of their practices first. And like they play the best music they've ever played, and it's mind blowing and it's beautiful, and they're crying and they can't believe it. And they go and they play at the bar. Same thing, like it has this massive effect, and it looks like everything's going to take off. A record producer comes and talks to the lead singer, and I don't because it's a one issue, one and done. I don't want to like give away too many of the details, but the record producer comes. It's the late 70s. It's kind of rock versus disco. Our lead here is definitely a rock guy, and you can imagine a music producer as a disco guy at this time, or could be anyway. And it is a horror anthology, so it gets dark. It gets real dark, and it was a lot of fun. Let me show you some of Michael Walsh's art, since he's the connecting thread. Yeah, I agree. Every time I read a Chip Zdarsky book right now, I'm pretty well blown away. He wrote a portion of this Batman Gotham something anthology series, and he did a Red Hood story. I swear to God, it's the best Red Hood I've read in 10, 15 years. It's phenomenal.
That's
did you read this one?
Yeah, I think we both read it. I liked it. I thought the plot, like the horror mechanism, didn't really break any new ground or blow my mind, but it was very, very, very well done. And it was really visually pleasing. I will 100% continue to read them. I'm really excited for the Kelly Thompson slasher.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin. The premise wasn't like it doesn't break a lot of new ground. It feels very classic and by way of like Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt, which is not a bad thing, and it's just executed so well that it makes it totally worth it. Like Michael Walsh's visuals are always great. I'm a big fan of Michael Walsh, and so anything he's doing, I'm super down. I just found out too in the back of this book, there's an ad for a horror serial that he does himself online, which I think might be like a webcomic, but I wasn't aware of that. So there's a lot to discover. Michael Walsh is such a cool creator. I highly recommend checking some stuff out. I found them with Worst X-Men Ever is Walsh, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so such good stuff. And yeah, so this book, it was just, I had a lot of fun reading it. It harkens back to watching like a good Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone. And I am so down for a teen slasher story written by Kelly Thompson, which we're getting next time. And that sounds amazing. So I'm subscribed to everything Silvercoin does for sure.
Yeah, I feel like with titles like this too, especially right now, I tend to be like a little not overly sensitive, but like a title like Ice Cream Man that's like just broken records. Everyone loves it. It's a super cool, like different take on sort of a horror anthology. Whenever titles like that come out, then everyone supports, kind of looking like, what's the next series like that going to be? And I wasn't sure if Haha would be it. I'm not sure if Silver Coin's going to be it, but I really, really like Silver Coin. So hopefully this becomes the new it, like horror anthology to be going after.
Yeah, horror anthology seems to be like the indie trend in line with the superhero character color trend that we've talked about before. It's just there's something I mean, if there's something appealing to be able to just pick up an issue and read it, and no matter what number is on the cover, you can just enjoy it. And particularly this one that's got like high level or high profile creators. If you're a big Jeff Lemire person, you could just hang out and then grab issue 4 when it comes out, and it's not going to matter if you read 1 through 3.
Right.
And like Cody said, the art's going to be phenomenal no matter who's writing it, and with the cast of writers that they've said, like you can say like.
Yeah, all things considered, there's like almost a guarantee of quality just because Michael Walsh's name is going to be on every single one. So you're going to get something that looks awesome. And I will say something striking too about Walsh is particularly in horror. You can tell he loves horror because his faces are like Ditko level anxiety. Like the A cover to Silver Coin, when you look at that face on that A cover, it's so haunting. Like, and he does that throughout. Like, yeah, I'll maximize that. I mean, the sheer horror in that expression is so good. I love it. But yeah, horror anthologies are the business right now. Like James Tynion, I've been checking out his imprint that he has, or not imprint, it's kind of his own comic, but Razor Blades, it's like the horror magazine he's putting out, which is awesome because James Tynion clearly is very passionate about the genre. So yeah, I am too. So I'm a happy comic reader right now.
And we do have plenty of issues of that available. If anyone wants to check out a new horror anthology, we've got the A covers, which we just showed off. There's a B cover by Tula Lote, which is breathtaking. I got that one myself. And then there's a C cover, which is very reminiscent of like The Ring. It's Nguyen. It's not Dustin Nguyen, right? It's some other Nguyen. Yeah, but it looks like a homage to The Ring. It's really haunting as well. So check those out if you're interested, and we're happy to hook you up.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do I want to talk about next? Let's talk about Bad Ideas.
Oh.
This was the new title from Bad Idea, the new comic publisher this week. This book is called Tankers #1, and it is about a greedy oil company that decides the best way to maximize profits is to go back in time and delay the extinction of dinosaurs so they can stick around a little longer and give us some more of that sweet, sweet crude oil when they die. As you can imagine, a bunch of scientists that apparently don't triple check their numbers launched into this time travel adventure. There is a very like surprisingly, it made me very sad. Like dinosaurs getting killed at one point, but it doesn't last, and the comeuppance definitely occurs at one point. So check it out. I don't want to spoil too much, but let me show you a little bit of art from this because it is gorgeous.
I'm going to disagree that it doesn't last. I think there's like a solid 5 pages in a row of just.
Oh, like, no. I mean, I'm thinking in the grand sense of things. Like they did something real bad, and now we don't want to spoil it. So we're not going to. But yeah, there is some wholesale dino murder in this book. And of course, at the hands of like heavily militarized oil company agents. Hold on, let me show you. I'm going to show you one. Okay.
Beautiful.
Starts out with them being like, oh, hey, look, dinosaurs.
Aw,
dinosaurs. Long necks and 3 horns and all those duckies. All right, and then they must secure a landing zone so they can build a device to help prevent the meteor from extincting the dinosaurs. That's not even a word. I just made it up. Extincting. And of course, the dinosaurs fight back. It gets really bloody and really fun, and the art's great. And I don't know, Bad Idea's been putting out some neat stuff, so I would check it out if you've enjoyed any act so far, or you're looking for something weird and a little kooky. Look at the back cover of this thing.
Brad McGinty. Awesome. I love that artist.
Very cool.
That artist has a company he bought an old gum company.
Same, Ruby.
Same. We're all of the same opinion, Ruby.
I think we're supposed to.
Yeah. No, these guys, like the main characters, are not good guys. So I'm hoping that things go very, very wrong for them in an issue coming to you.
I said that cover artist bought a gum company from like the 50s called Glorp Gum. And now if you go to glorpgum.com, you can buy original, like you can buy little gumballs and it comes with like a free t-shirt that's that artwork. But that's how it's advertised. Like buy this sour ball gum and you get like a crazy ass shirt. It's fine.
That's totally cool.
I grew out of it. I just grew up in the last couple of years and doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, I thought you meant you were like putting yourself above that kind of thing. I was like, what?
I've grown beyond that shirt.
No. I grew out of the shirt because I got fat. Sorry, I was trying to be cute, but no, I fatted my way out of that shirt.
Look at all these words we're making up, guys. Let's keep it going.
You're like, I'm an adult now. I don't like that art.
No, I don't even chew gum. That's really the problem.
Chew gum at all. I grew out of that.
Yeah.
So that was Tankers. We still have some left. Like with most Bad Idea comics, these will probably sell out long before the 30 days passes where we can put them on the site. So if you're interested in it, stop by the shop. We currently have it available only at the store for purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to sign up for other Bad Ideas comics that are coming up, it's important to know that it is not a comic imprint that will show up on the final order cutoff. So you got to let us know early, or you run the risk of showing up and there being no copies.
Too bad.
And then you're just a sad kick over there by your sadness, just being a sad kick.
What's your next book, Cody?
Yeah, so the next book I'm going to talk about is Swamp Thing #2. This is the new launch under the Infinite Frontier banner, I guess I'll say. This is written by Rom V with art by Mike Perkins. So this is proving to be a very strong creative team. Rom V has a beautiful way of writing his prose. Mike Perkins' kind of grittier style really lends itself to the horror tone of this book. This book sees the continuation of our new avatar of the Green and how he's kind of figuring out what the hell's going on to him. It's probably a little bit jarring to wake up in different places across the country and fall out of a tree in Central Park. So what that does mentally to somebody is definitely being explored in this. We also have a confrontation with the strange creature who was once a man roaming the deserts of Arizona, and one man's kind of obsession with it because he saw it once and now he needs to have that closure, the quietus that he's looking for. This is an awesome second issue. I was a big fan of the first. I was hoping for more kind of diving into the main character, because he's clearly somebody who just went through a lot back where he's from over in India. And it's still kind of this thing that is haunting us as the reader. And I'm thinking that's the point, because it's definitely haunting the main character. And we're seeing bits and pieces of things involving his father, his brother. And that's kind of going to be an underlying thing, I think, that'll follow us through this book. And I think coming to terms with this new ability, a Swamp Thing that he has, is going to kind of line up with confronting some kind of trauma that he's dealing with, that he went through in India. Like I said, Mike Perkins on art. Perkins has been everywhere for a long time. There's a lot of fans of Perkins, and he's still so strong, and it's perfect for this book. Very excited to have a Swamp Thing book on the stands. I really want it to do well, because my Swampy doesn't get enough attention. So please buy it and enjoy it. It's great. If you guys have some thoughts on it too.
I loved it. It was one of my favorite issues of the week, quite easily. I liked how much they dealt with the power of identity, as he's shifting sort of back and forth between his nightmare state, becoming Swamp Thing, and then getting spit out of a tree in the middle of a park somewhere.
Which was so cool. The visual was so cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And it just keeps happening. He's starting to lose himself. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where the dream ends, where he begins. And that plays out in his encounter with this being that he continually runs into when he is in the green and becoming Swamp Thing. And it's cool because I feel like in a lot of other, and actually I shouldn't say that, because I haven't read a ton of old Swamp Thing, but I feel like this is pretty common for Swamp Thing, right? He's usually like disoriented and kind of wandering around as like this big agent of the green initially before he gets his feet under him. I don't know. I feel like maybe there was a Swamp Thing story that I read as a kid where it was kind of similar. But I like the fact that he's not sure of who he is, and the same thing is happening with this character that he's encountering. So it's definitely a motif that I hope they continue with, because it's sweet.
I didn't get a chance to read it, and I feel very left out.
Oh, sad Ton.
I have it right here, and now I'm a sad kick. But I've been saving it actually for a time where I'm not like, it's not midnight and I'm exhausted and I'm gonna read it. But yeah, what you're describing there, Kevin, is like that's Swamp Thing. So if you're getting that vibe from this, that's perfect, because Swamp Thing is very rarely rooted to one place, or and he's always struggling with identity. That's always been a thing. That's always been a part of Swamp Thing. Is like, who am I? Who was I before? Who am I now? So that's very cool. I'm excited to read that.
I will say too, at risk of this sounding like this is just a run-of-the-mill Swamp Thing samey kind of situation, this is actually, by the end of this issue, our new avatar for the green, he actually makes a statement that breaks that mold very much. I won't say what that line is, but he confronts the matter of identity throughout this issue, and I think it really comes to a head in one scene where he kind of makes a stand. So I think this is going to be, he's hitting the notes of Swamp Thing that made the series what it is, absolutely, but I think he's already breaking some of that in issue 2. So I think this is going to be an exciting series to watch, and I hope it's going to take Swamp Thing to a new place and hopefully a wider audience, because this is one of my favorite characters, you guys. Like in DC, the DC that I do read, Swampy has always captivated me. So I love to see his name on the stands.
And that's what we want. That's what Infinite Frontier, I find, is doing so well so far, is they give you those like core feelings that you want from the characters, and then they are going to new places with it, which is like, that's the best thing you can do as superheroes to me, is like establish that you're like, you get this character and why it means something to people, and then like go tell a new and interesting story. Yeah.
And I think I'm really anticipating and excited for how they play his culture and his heritage into this character.
Yeah.
And like Cody said, he makes a statement about identity towards the end of the issue that plays into that, but I'm excited. I want to see how Ram V creatively mixes up those different components, because Ram V has done some pretty freaking stellar stuff that's based in like Indian culture and stuff like that through these savage shores. I don't know. This book was pretty much made for Ramvi to write, so
Yeah.
I'm on it. I want to show a page that I really like, which is like one of the opening pages. This is the title page for Swamp Thing, and you get a real good sense of exactly what Cody was talking about, how we've got the gentleman who's the new avatar of the green as he transitions through this nightmare state all the way over to his swampy face. You get to see sort of what he's encountering in these dreams that he's having. Just so well done, so well put together.
That's great design.
Yeah.
Well, before I jump into my next book, I want to mention what like if you saw the picture where we were posting about our picks of the week, one of mine we completely sold out of, but it was called Geiger, and it's a new Image comic from written by Jeff Johns, who was a big deal at DC for many years and wrote a lot of great comics over there. And one of his collaborators, one of my favorites, Gary Frank. And it's a post-apocalyptic. The bombs have dropped. People are living above ground, but they're wearing like spacesuits. And there's one guy who's like kind of a myth or a legend walking around with no suit, who's referred to as the Glowing Man or as Mr. something. Geiger.
The best one is Joe Glow.
There's a bunch of really good gag names that they give him, nicknames that are fun.
I really think the book should have been called Joe Glow, but that's just me.
I would be fine with that.
Geiger is cool. I will say I liked it too. Trigger warning for doggy harm. That sucked, but it's okay because the rest of the story is good. But that was a big bummer reading that part. But other than that, yeah, Geiger is cool. It feels like Fallout, if there are any gamers watching. It's like Fallout meets a superhero story, toxic air, wastelands, and like some really cheesy superhero lines that the main character says, courtesy of Jeff Johns, which gave me a laugh. So it was a fun book. And the most exciting thing about that first issue was the very end of like the spread of what, like the lay of the land. There's some cool, like it promises some wild stuff, let's just say. Like it gives you a peek at the characters we're going to meet, and they all are just super distinct, and some of them fit very like just very what word am I looking for, archetypes. They seem like they're fitting archetypes perfectly, and it's going to be a fun roller coaster of a book. I think it's definitely like, it feels like a popcorn book. I think it's going to be wild.
Yeah. And I just I realized today, if you didn't get a copy and you're missing it, I think it became a little bit of a speculator book this week. People were snatching it up, but there's a glow in the dark cover that's coming in like 2 weeks. So if you didn't get one and you want to read it, reach out to us and we'll put you down for the glow in the dark one. There's also a second print coming that we will be ordering. I'll try to get a handful of for us because I think people will enjoy reading it. I think, like Cody said, it's a popcorn book. It's just fun, and I think there's going to be some laughs and some great art and some probably good character moments because it's Jeff Johns. And
I'm so like personally, I get so intrigued by stuff like Chernobyl or like nuclear meltdown accidents and things where these vast like swaths of land are just abandoned until the half-life hits a certain point. It's just so crazy to me, and that this story is essentially a superhero story happening inside of one of those sort of situations is just so cool. I love glowing superheroes too. It's always tight as
I was just about to say, who can be mad at like a glowing skeleton design on a superhero? Because I know I can't be mad at that. That's awesome. That's just like objectively rad.
Yeah, the art is like, I don't think it's really hard to we're not overstating how amazing the art is. It's hard to really show you guys since we don't have a copy to show off, but it is a beautiful book too. So those two worked together on Doomsday Clock most recently, so that's a little reference for the artwork since we can't show it to you. But I just wanted to mention it because I really liked it, and if you missed it, let us know, and we'll get you down for either that glow in the dark or the second print. Do you know, are they giving Jeff Johns his own imprint on Image? Is that what that? Because on the cover there was like a little publisher block thing that had like, You know how Rick
Yeah.
Remender's got his own shit.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't know if it's officially an Image imprint or just a Jeff Johns branding, but it's something I know Johns has been talking about for a long time of kind of fostering that brand.
Cool.
So, I would imagine this big kind of high profile one of him and Gary Frank being with Image is a good sign that the rest of them will land with Image, but I don't know if it's going to be all Johns written or if he's going to be bringing people in or that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited either way. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. You know what? Something about that book too. I remember reading once that it was originally a pitch for a DC story. And I'm so curious. The whole time I was reading it, I was trying to figure out which characters it would be and where, like, what would it be, like a Captain Atom story, maybe?
Oh.
Something like that. Like I can't not think about that. What would this have been in the DC universe,
I didn't know that. That's cool as hell. I'll have to reread my copy.
Right. Yeah. If you keep that in mind, it kind of changes it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be a Nort story.
And it's probably Nort. Yeah. That's probably right. And the dog would have been Chip, the squirrel.
Oh my God.
Of a little puppy. But anyway, the DC book I have in front of me.
Speaking of Nort.
Green Lantern #1. Brand new Green Lantern series. Written by, what is Thorne's first name? Jeffrey Thorne, with really good art by Dexter Soy and Marco Santucci.
Really strong.
Yeah, neither of which I'm familiar with by name, but really enjoyed what they did here. But the idea here, well, first of all, John Stewart, Simon Baz, and the young new Teen Lantern, who I love Teen Lantern already. Teen Lantern was in Young Justice, and now is getting a spotlight here. She's not even a teenager, but she makes everybody call her Teen Lantern. She's only 11. And she has a mysterious Green Lantern like power glove, like from Nintendo, but it's Green Lantern, and she won't let anybody touch it, not even the Guardians of the universe. But the what's going on here is pre-future state in the Superman comics. Superman and his son Jonathan set up the seeds of the United Planets. Basically, it's an old school DC idea that played out in the Legion of Superheroes, and it's like delegations from all the planets come together and they work out different problems in the galaxy and they make peace and all these things. And Cody was very excited, I know, because he loves weird ass aliens, and this book is full of them.
My favorite trope, you guys. Let me show you. My favorite trope in sci-fi. Space delegation. Big meetings of aliens in space. That's my favorite. I loved this issue so much.
Yeah, it's such a solid, and it was such a pleasant surprise to me. Okay, I'm going to be honest. This is my honest review of a previous book. It's the same writer of Future State Green Lantern, which was not my favorite of the Future State books.
Yeah,
particularly the portion written by this writer.
Okay, the caveat about the Future State Lantern stories, totally agree, but the backups were lit. Like the backups were really good.
True. Okay, that's true.
But the main wasn't stellar.
That's true. And it made me a little nervous because I knew that guy that writer was the writer on the new Green Lantern. And I was like, ugh. But you could tell now reading this, you can tell, he's like, okay, we need like a 2-issue filler. And then you can go do your thing, which I think is going to be really, really interesting. And there's some really great details, like John Stewart and Simon Baz they're wearing their dress, their police basically dress uniform, and they decided to make it like Kryptonian in style, which was just a really fun detail, I thought. Or Guy Gardner and Green Lantern are wearing something else. Yeah, looking good. That's just what John Stewart should wear all the time. I don't know why he bothers with a regular costume.
Seriously.
And like I said, Teen Lantern is in here, and she's super fun and just like this little tiny fireball badass who is mixing her Spanish and English the whole time.
I mean, that cover is so good too.
Yeah, and that's like that's that character's personality in a nutshell.
The way she's as tall as the Guardian is just hilarious to me, or like taller even.
You get Sinestro in here. Guy Gardner looks like he's going to be around if you like the asshole Green Lantern like I do. Kilowog's going to be there. They're just like, it was just super, super great. And I recommend Green Lantern #1.
So good.
Dude, did you see that? Did you see that Cinna Grace is pushing real hard for people to vote for their idea of a Kyle Rayner Kilowog buddy cop comic to come out?
Please.
He wants to write it really bad, so he's like trying to get everyone to vote for him right now, and it sounds pretty great.
Where do I cast my ballot? I vote for that.
Go to Cinna Grace's Instagram. I'm sure there's a link in the bio for voting, but I saw that and I thought of you. I was like, I bet Aton would probably be into that.
Is that part of this DC voting? Like you choose the storylines, and his is Kyle Rayner and Kilowog as
buddy cop adventure is the one that he wants to do. So
oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to vote for that.
Oh my god! And you can
if you go look at him, and there's some other cool ones. Let me know. That's the only one I've actually seen information on, and it was enough to make me remember to tell you now. So yeah.
What are you gonna call it, Cody?
Oh, I was gonna say you could call it Kilowog.
Hey.
I love it. That's
very
great.
good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. So read Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a dummy. Read Green Lantern. And I think at this point too, I think like there hasn't been a bad Green Lantern title since the Green Lantern's Corps. Maybe was that okay or was that good?
Oh, Green Lantern Corps was great.
Was there a Green Lantern that wasn't as good during Rebirth?
There was the Green. So I really liked the Green Lanterns, which was Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz as they were partners, and that's fantastic.
Oh, and then Hal Jordan and the Lantern Corps.
There's Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, which actually started really strong. It's actually the writer of that Tankers book, Robert Venditti, and then just it just became kind of average. It was never bad. It was just
right.
It's just there.
I was going to say, I don't know why anybody hesitates to read Green Lantern because there hasn't literally been a bad Green Lantern in years. All of the Morrison stuff has just been amazing. So,
yeah. Art notwithstanding, a good reason to avoid there has been clear reasons to avoid Green Lantern in the past. Let's just say that. I'll just leave it right there.
It's so hard. It sucks so bad.
I know.
We're talking about Van Scriver.
Yeah,
he who shall not be named.
Yeah, Jeff Johns wrote phenomenal Green Lantern for years, and he brought Green Lantern from basically nothing to the top-selling DC book for years with just fantastic storytelling. And unfortunately, he was partnered up with a true asshole. So it's one of those hard decisions. Am I going to read it?
Really long too, for so long.
Yeah.
He was collaborating. I mean, but Ding Dong, the witch is dead. I mean, we got Dexter Soy, and it looks beautiful. So we good.
There it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have my last one, which I think will lead as a segue into my book that we're going to read for next week's episode on Thursday. This pick of the week is actually from last week. But since we didn't talk about books from last week, I want to talk about it right now. Shadecraft.
Yay!
Ooh.
Shadecraft made some waves when it came out. Also kind of hit the charts as a little bit of a spec book when it first came out. It's about a young girl who it's like an awkward teenage girl. Not even awkward, kind of cool, kind of awkward, kind of dorky. She's scared of her own shadow. She's convinced that the darkness is out to get her. Enough to the point where she is crouching in her front yard, terrified from all the shadows. And then her mom flips on the porch light. What are you doing out there? Come on inside. But there's her classmates find out that she's afraid of her own shadow, which kids are mean. She gets ridiculed a little bit. But there's something about the shadows that she's seeing and the things that are happening to her that have relevance to her life in the past. So it's this cool beginning of a world where shadows can either hurt you or help you. And I'm into it. It's pretty radical. The creative team was initially why I decided to give this book a shot. It's the same creative team from my book for next week, which is called Skyward.
You heard it here first.
Story about a world where gravity gets turned off in an instant, and after the dust settles, pun intended, a young girl sets out on an adventure to try and figure out why things are the way they are and if she can change them. It's gorgeous. It's a 3-volume series. We'll talk more about that next week. Please join us on Thursday and grab a copy of Skyward if you feel so inclined. We have plenty of copies at the shop. But anyways, back to Shadecraft. I'm going to show you guys a couple cool pages. And like with most stuff from these creative teams, it's the visuals. I mean, the story's fun, but the visuals just do it for me. So this is a picture. This is the first spread where she is encountering shadows. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but those shadows look like they're out to get her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
the art is just so strong.
so
Lee
good.
Garbett.
What's the artist's name?
Lee Garbett.
The artist is Garbett. It's Lee Garbett.
Yeah.
So writer Joe Henderson, art and cover Lee Garbett, colorist Antonio Fabella, and letterer Simon Boland. Check out, this is another page. This isn't, nothing really crazy is happening, but look at the facial expressions and the way that these characters are created. It's just, every single person feels so unique and like they have personality and something that they want to tell you.
And Marvel readers might recognize this art specifically from Loki, Agent of Asgard. Lee Garbett was on art along with Al Ewing writing. It's so beautiful. I love that there's like Lee Garbett, like Kevin mentioned, is also the artist on Skyward with the writer. And there's a blurb I noticed. I don't know if it's on the paperbacks, but it's definitely on the hardcover that was released. And it's like a blurb from Jonathan Hickman. And it said like, this premise is just so brilliant that readers will find it irresistible and fellow writers will be infuriated that they didn't think of it. I love that because it's like a simple premise, right? What stories can you tell if gravity turned off and you have to explain society? That's so rich with storytelling potential, and it gets explored in a book called Skyward, and that's awesome. If you guys don't mind, actually, really quick, that segues perfectly into a book I wanted to give an honorable mention to that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
In terms of simplicity of premise and the potential for storytelling, Noctera issue 2 is out. And that's the Scott Snyder book with art by Tony Daniel. It's another book that has that kind of simple plot. What if no light? What if no sun? And then like what happens? And well, and you know, your brain says certain things will happen in terms of real life physics and science, but then in this book, it's like, let's take that to the fantastical. Let's make it that, you know, the world is now a breeding ground for these monsters. And let's make it that like the darkness will corrupt your biology. Very cool. A simplicity of a plot that's rich in storytelling, like I said, and it's this second issue really ratchets up the tension with some character moments straight out of an action movie. Really cool.
And you get to see the best villain in any comic book for the last year.
Wow.
Blacktop Bill. This dude who is literally nothing but just a black shadow and some grinning teeth.
Dude, and he drives a Batmobile. Look at that thing.
He drives a fucking Batmobile. It's badass. It's like the coolest villain I've ever seen. In fact, like the issue was great, but when it got to that, I was like, yes. Noctera was stellar.
Well, I love it too.
I enjoy that one too.
Yeah, it's a great female lead who's she's so interesting to me. She's incredibly competent. She's out here doing her job, but she's very multidimensional. And I feel like she's so interesting to be getting to know because we get a lot of first person narration from her, which isn't in every, you know, comic of this type, but it's so cool to get a glimpse into her mind and how she's interacting with the world around her, the people around her, and how that is similar to or at odds with the things going on in her own head. So it's an awesome lead character I'm really excited about.
What I really like about the end of that issue, and I won't say what it is, but that lead character is left with a decision, and it seems like one decision is good and one decision is bad. And and I have no idea which one she's going to do. Like, I have no clue what's going to happen on page 1 of issue 3, and I could see it very easily going either way. And that, to Cody's point, is what an interesting character this is, because she's not just in a mold. She's not just like the righteous whatever. She's going to do what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be rough, I imagine.
And you're right too, Cody, about the simplicity in the plots. Like, some of the best stories I've read over the last few years have been just like insanely simple. Get rid of gravity, get rid of light, and then the parts that I love are all the little details that surround it. I'll give you guys a little teaser. Maybe wet your whistle for some Skyward. Did you know that in a world with no gravity, bugs would grow to be the size of fucking school buses?
Hell.
Yeah, it's awesome. So there's a lot of cool little shit that's just like, oh, world with no gravity. Careful you don't float off into the sky. But then it's like, no, the butterflies and the bugs that normally are kept in check by gravity and external stimuli, they're huge now. It's crazy.
I can't wait to read it. I'm very excited.
Super fun. And so we have, I think we still have a hardcover of Skyward left, or plenty of volumes 1, 2, and 3 if you feel like getting them all together, or just start with 1. Join us next week on Thursday. We're going to get into it.
Yeah.
Oh, and for Shadecraft, definitely check it out. We have plenty of the B cover by Jock available still. Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Yeah, you guys, really quick here. The neon lights really add so much to the comic. The colorist is great. I totally agree. This is the kind of book, or this is the kind of visual cue in a comic that will stick with you when there's such distinct visuals that lend to the world building. I mean, you have all that potential with you having to stay lit up to be safe. And that begs the question, okay, how does fashion change? How does equipment change? And all of it is like LED, and everything looks flashy and colorful, and all the safety hubs are lit up in different colors to indicate what kind they are. It just really lends to the visuals being staple to the book, and that helps it be so memorable. It's a really cool book. Whew, anyway.
You know, the book gives me total, what was the movie before Riddick? Pitch Black?
Oh, Chronicles
Do you know
of
what I'm talking
Riddick,
about?
Vin Diesel.
Yeah. Like where he's on that planet where all the creatures erupt from within the earth and fly around during night, which lasts for multiple days just when they happen to land. And oh my God, that movie's so good. But I get that vibe from Noctera big time.
Noctera is my worst nightmare, by the way. I'm afraid of the dark. I'm a 100% grown-ass man who's afraid of the dark. And I do not want to be in Noctera ever. That's all.
Oh man, Cody, think of all the practical jokes we can play on Aton now that we know this.
I think we should turn off all the lights and then unfold as many folding chairs as we can, and then leave them.
Okay, I hate the dark. I hate folding chairs being left around. You know my secret? You know what I do in the dark? I just close my eyes. I can't see the dark if my eyes are closed.
And then we'll record ourselves reciting Doctor Strange spells and play them on loop.
The show is over. The show is over. You can hit the button now, Cody.
By the flames of the fall team.
I'm done. I'm done.
The wands of Watum. The flames of the fall team. Oh,
the hoary hosts of Hargoth.
Summon the crimson bands of Sidorak. Okay.
We chased him out.
And
thanks for joining us, everybody. We love you.
We love you guys. Be safe.